The film begins by introducing Jack, a gunsmith and contract killer who is hiding out in a remote cabin in Sweden with his lover Ingrid. One morning, the two of them take a walk to enjoy the atmosphere around the cabin. While walking, Jack notices unfamiliar footprints in the snow. His killer instincts immediately warn him that danger is lurking. Realizing he is in danger, Jack immediately urges Ingrid to seek shelter. At that moment, the sound of gunfire aimed at him rings out. Ingrid panics and is terrified when she sees Jack pull a gun from his coat pocket. Jack manages to spot the approaching shooter and shoots him without hesitation. After checking the dead shooter, Jack tells Ingrid to go back to the cabin to call the police. But as Ingrid runs past him, Jack, with a cold and merciless expression, shoots Ingrid from behind. Jack suspects that Ingrid was involved in the plot to kill him because she was the only person who knew the location of his hideout. Not long after, Jack finds a second shooter trying to approach him. He quickly shoots him as well. After making sure everything is safe, Jack leaves Sweden by boat, heading to Rome. Upon arriving in Rome, Jack immediately calls his superior Pavel. Pavel asks Jack to wait for him at a small cafe near the stadium. After Jack arrives at the cafe, Pavel shows up shortly thereafter. During the brief meeting, Pavel firmly forbids Jack from staying in Rome for long, considering the increasingly dangerous situation for him. Pavel has devised a thorough escape plan so Jack can leave the city safely. After leaving the cafe, Jack must walk to the right and look for a blue Fiat Tempra with Pescara license plates parked in the second row. The car has already been prepared, and inside there is a map that will lead Jack to a small town called Castelvecchio. In Castelvecchio, Pavel has also arranged an apartment for Jack to stay in temporarily until the situation becomes safer, and Pavel can give further instructions. Before they parted ways, Pavel reminded Jack not to trust anyone and to avoid forming close relationships with anyone while he was there. After a long journey, Jack finally arrived in Castelvecchio, a small town located in the Abruzzo Mountains. As soon as he arrived, he immediately disposed of the phone Pavel had given him. Jack then continued his journey to Castel del Monte, the place where he would be staying during his time there. One day, after doing some light exercise, Jack decided to take a walk around the small town. By chance, he met a local priest named Benedetto. From his different appearance, Benedetto realized that Jack was American. They then introduced themselves and Jack used the alias Edward, pretending to work as a photographer for a magazine. Curious, Benedetto invited Jack to have some wine with him while talking about Abruzzo. However, Jack refused, saying he had other matters to attend to. Shortly after, Jack looked for a public phone to contact Pavel. After finding a phone, Jack immediately reported his arrival. Pavel gave him new instructions. Jack had to make a special weapon for a new client who was also a hitman and one of Pavel's subordinates. At night, Jack finally made time to meet Benedetto. The priest welcomed Jack warmly and they chatted while drinking wine. During their conversation, Benedetto asked Jack several questions. Father Benedetto seemed to grow suspicious when Jack, who claimed to be a photographer, showed no interest whatsoever in the history or local beauty of Abruzzo, something that would normally attract the attention of a real photographer. The next day, Jack began carrying out the task assigned to him by Pavel. He met with a client named Matilda at a predetermined location. Matilda, a professional assassin, asked Jack to design a sniper weapon that was extremely lightweight, compact, and specifically tailored to meet the needs of an assassination mission she was about to undertake. Jack agreed to her request. However, during the meeting, Jack, who was always alert, sensed that someone was watching him from a distance. Even so, when he expressed his concerns to Matilda, she assured him that she had come alone and hadn't brought anyone to observe their meeting. After the meeting ended, Jack didn't waste any time. He immediately returned to his apartment and began working on his task, using the package sent by Pavel to assemble the rifle according to the specifications Matilda had requested. Jack demonstrated his skill in assembling the rifle meticulously, but the time-consuming and demanding process left him feeling exhausted both physically and mentally. As a man who still had human needs and desires, Jack decided to unwind and seek an escape from the pressures of his life. He then spent the night with a local woman named Clara, who gave him warmth and companionship amid his loneliness. On his way home, Jack accidentally saw Father Benedetto's car broken down by the side of the road. Acting quickly, Jack offered his help and managed to fix it. As a token of gratitude, Benedetto invited Jack to dinner at his house, and Jack warmly accepted the invitation. While at Benedetto's home, Jack noticed a photo in the living room showing Benedetto with another man. When Jack asked about the man, Benedetto explained that the person in the photo was Fabio, a local mechanic who sometimes got involved in illegal work. Hearing this, Jack's instincts immediately kicked in. He suspected that Fabio's workshop might have the tools he needed to assemble the silencer for the rifle he was making for Matilda. Because of this, Jack decided to visit Fabio's workshop. God make you rich, man. I don't think God is interested in me, Father. The next day, Jack went to Fabio's workshop, but before that, he deliberately damaged his own car hood so he would have a reason to meet Fabio without arousing suspicion. When Jack finally arrived at the bustling workshop, he confidently introduced himself as a trusted friend of Benedetto and politely asked for explicit permission to thoroughly look around the premises. Fabio, a seemingly unsuspicious and accommodating man, readily allowed Jack to freely use the various tools and equipment available in his well-equipped workshop. There, with meticulous care and absolute secrecy, Jack diligently searched for the very specific and specialized tools he urgently needed to expertly assemble a highly effective silencer for a powerful rifle. After carefully gathering all the necessary and essential tools from Fabio's extensive workshop, Jack promptly returned to his quiet apartment and immediately began working on his intricate project with intense focus. He ingeniously made use of various spare parts and components he had previously obtained, including precision-engineered shaft bearings, to meticulously assemble a custom-designed and highly efficient silencer. Jack worked with an unwavering and intense concentration, dedicating himself fully to the task at hand, and after undergoing several stages of careful experimentation and precise adjustments, he ultimately succeeded in crafting a remarkably effective silencer specifically for the high-powered sniper rifle that had been explicitly ordered by the formidable Matilda. In short, after successfully assembling the intricate silencer, Jack wisely decided to thoroughly test the rifle in a remote and secluded location, far away from any potential crowds or prying eyes. There, he meticulously ensured that both the rifle and the silencer he had painstakingly made worked absolutely perfectly and precisely according to Matilda's exact and demanding specifications. That night, Jack's profound and persistent longing for Clara's comforting warmth irresistibly brought him back to the familiar brothel, filled with a hopeful anticipation of seeing her again. However, when he discovered that Clara was conspicuously not there, Jack, feeling a pang of disappointment, decided to seek a moment of solace and quiet reflection at a nearby dimly lit cafe. While he was peacefully sitting there, the attentive cafe owner unexpectedly handed Jack a mysterious letter. The letter, to Jack's surprise, turned out to contain a chilling newspaper clipping that vividly reminded him of the dark and tragic events that had recently occurred in distant Sweden. After carefully reading the unsettling letter, Jack instinctively looked out the window and chillingly realized that a suspicious car had been persistently following him since the previous day. His suspicions grew significantly stronger and more unsettling. Jack became absolutely convinced that the shadowy people tailing him were directly connected to the ominous letter. A deep and gnawing anxiety began to relentlessly plague Jack. He felt constantly haunted by the lingering shadows from his tumultuous past that were now ominously starting to catch up with him in a life that was supposed to be completely hidden and untraceable. That night, as Jack attempted to rest, he could not feel truly at ease. He was perpetually on guard, his senses heightened. Jack kept a loaded weapon closely positioned near his bed, always ready in case an unforeseen threat or danger appeared at any given moment. The very next day, Jack punctually picked up Matilda at the bustling train station to formally hand over the meticulously assembled rifle. After their brief meeting, Jack carefully took Matilda to a remote and isolated location where he typically conducted his weapon tests. Upon their arrival, Matilda began expertly assembling the rifle with remarkable skill and an impressive level of proficiency, and as Jack intently watched her precise movements, he became increasingly and undeniably certain that Matilda was also a highly professional and exceptionally dangerous assassin. And the fundamental principles, the core beliefs, and the foundational tenets that are meticulously encased and protected within a structured framework are indeed crucial for understanding the underlying philosophy. After the rifle was fully and meticulously assembled, Matilda carefully tested its functionality by precisely shooting at a specifically prepared target she had set up with great care. Then she made a rather unusual and quite surprising request. Jack was asked to shoot in her general direction from a considerable distance to thoroughly test the weapon's overall accuracy and reliability. Once the rigorous trial was completely over, Matilda seemed genuinely satisfied with Jack's diligent work and his precise execution, although she did politely ask for a few minor yet important adjustments, such as carefully tightening the rifle's optical scope, which still felt a little bit loose and not perfectly secure. After that, Jack took Matilda back to the station and they parted ways. In short, Jack returned to his apartment. He began working on the adjustments Matilda had requested with greater care, fixing the scope and preparing the bullets to ensure the rifle was truly perfect. The next day, Jack was relaxing at a cafe when Clara happened to see him and approached him. Jack invited her to sit with him, but Clara politely declined because she was with her friend and was about to watch the movie The American at the cinema. Before leaving, Clara invited Jack to meet again on Wednesday night at the famous restaurant Locanda Grappali at 8 o'clock since she would be free that day. From this, it was clear that the seeds of love were beginning to grow in Clara's eyes. She no longer saw Jack as just a customer, but as a lover. And so, without realizing it, Jack had broken Pavel's warning for the second time, after previously also becoming attached to and close with Father Benedetto. When night fell, Jack felt that he was being followed. He quickened his pace and hid. When the person passed by, Jack followed him in return, ready to shoot. But suddenly, a motorcycle passed by and the person fired, missing and hitting the motorcyclist instead. Jack took the victim's motorcycle and immediately chased after his pursuer. He finally managed to shoot the target car's tire, causing the car to lose control and crash into a roadside barrier. Jack approached the car, pulled the person out, and strangled him until he was powerless. After the incident, Jack immediately contacted Pavel to report that the Swede had found his whereabouts. However, Pavel still ordered Jack not to leave the location and to finish his assignment. After the chase incident, Jack began to be haunted by dreams about the terrible events in Sweden, causing him to wake up earlier than usual. That morning, Benedetto noticed Jack's restlessness and invited him to meditate and seek God's protection. Benedetto spoke about the importance of seeking peace and confessing past sins. As a priest, he sensed that Jack was harboring many sins, some of which might still be ongoing to this day. Benedetto reminded Jack that anyone seeking peace has a dark past, and as a sinner who has repented, he hopes to guide Jack toward a better path. Benedetto also shared that in the past he and Fabio were sinners like Jack, but they have tried to better themselves. Benedetto then asked Jack to confess his sins for his own good, so that he could pray for Jack and help him find the peace he was seeking. The scene then shifts to Jack arriving at the famous restaurant where he had arranged to meet Clara. During the meeting, Clara revealed that Jack was keeping a secret. Clara also said that Jack was a good man but full of mystery, and then they went back to Clara's apartment. The next morning, when Jack woke up, he saw Clara in the bathroom. Because he didn't trust anyone, Jack decided to check Clara's bag. He was shocked to find a weapon inside. This discovery made Jack suspicious, and he began to keep an eye on Clara's movements. From a distance, Jack saw Clara talking to someone, which further convinced him that Clara was a killer who was watching him. Before handing over the weapon Matilda had ordered, Jack prepared the bullets by arranging them in a candy tin. He also bought a special black case with the code 0 Fompon to store the weapon. The next day, Jack took Clara to the place where he usually tested his weapons. Once they arrived, Jack immediately asked why Clara had approached him and why she always carried a gun. Clara answered honestly that she carried a weapon to protect herself, since many workers like her often became victims of violence from customers. Hearing Clara's explanation, Jack began to trust her and grew even more fond of her. He even resolved to live together with Clara. However, Jack felt conflicted. He knew he was a hitman, and staying in that city could endanger Clara's safety. Because I work tonight. After careful consideration, Jack decided to contact Pavel and inform him of his resignation after delivering Matilda's order. Pavel listened to Jack's confession, and although he agreed to Jack's decision, he felt that Jack had betrayed him. Pavel then began to plan steps to eliminate Jack. In short, Jack waited for Matilda at the agreed location to hand over the rifle he had perfected, complete with several rounds of ammunition. Not long after, Matilda arrived and Jack handed over the weapon, feeling cautious. Then Matilda pretended to head to the restroom, but inside, she quickly opened the case and began assembling her weapon. Jack, who had been suspicious from the start, also prepared himself in case Matilda tried to attack. Just as the situation grew more tense and the two faced off, a bus full of school children stopped nearby, bringing all plans to a halt. Seeing this, Matilda aborted her mission to kill Jack. Before parting ways, Matilda handed Jack an envelope filled with cash as a sign that her job was done, since Jack was also planning to retire from the world of assassination. As Matilda was driving, her phone rang. Pavel, her superior, called to ask about the progress of her mission. During the conversation, it was revealed that Pavel had actually ordered Matilda to kill Jack. Matilda explained that she had failed to carry out her mission at the meeting, but now she was following Jack, who was on his way to the city of Abruzzo to attend the annual carnival. Upon arriving in Abruzzo, Jack made his way through the bustling crowd at the annual carnival, trying to find Clara. Meanwhile, Matilda climbed onto the rooftop to find the perfect position to shoot Jack with the rifle that Jack himself had made. Pavel, who was also already in the city, prepared a plan to take out Jack himself if Matilda failed to complete her mission. After a while, Jack finally found Clara in the middle of the crowd. With deep emotion, he confessed his love and asked Clara to spend the rest of their lives together. Clara, moved, agreed to Jack's request, and they embraced each other lovingly. But at the same time, Matilda tried to shoot Jack from a distance. Unfortunately, the weapon turned out to be a disaster for her. In the final moments before Jack handed over the rifle, he had deliberately modified it by reversing the trigger. As a result, when Matilda fired, the rifle exploded instead, hitting herself and causing a fatal blast to her face. After seeing Matilda fall from the building, Jack handed Clara an envelope filled with cash from Matilda and asked her to wait by the riverside, the place of their previous memories. Jack said he needed to take care of one last matter before he could be with Clara. Jack then ran over to Matilda, who was dying and lying on the floor. While pointing his gun at her, Jack asked who had ordered her to kill him. In her weakened state, Matilda admitted that she worked for the same person as Jack, namely Pavel. As Jack walked down the narrow corridor toward Clara, he sensed that someone was following him. Alertly, Jack turned around and found Pavel standing behind him. They engaged in a fierce shootout, and although Jack managed to take Pavel down, he only then realized that he had also been shot in the stomach. As Jack drove the car to meet Clara by the riverside, he began to feel weak. His stomach and shirt were already soaked in blood, and he struggled to endure the pain by pounding on the steering wheel. Despite trying to stay conscious, Jack finally arrived at the location and saw Clara already waiting for him. But his strength gave out. He passed out and his car crashed into a tree near the river. Clara, witnessing what happened, screamed in panic and immediately ran toward Jack, and the film ended.